So you're looking to change the oil on your Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R. Now I had mentioned some tools that you might need, and right here we got all of them. We got some rags, we got a breaker bar, 17mm socket, oil filter tool, oil filter wrench. We got ourselves a funnel, 4 quarts of oil, and a K&N filter. These are not required by any means, your oil filter and your oil filter wrench, or your breaker bar. But with the breaker bar, it's a little easier to break the oil drain plug. And one last tool I forgot to mention is your motorcycle stand. Now, we will take our stand and raise up the back of the bike, make it a little easier to get to our oil filter drain plug. Now, a lot of people have trouble with these when it comes to raising the back end of their bike up because they're too scared to drop the bike. There's one little tip that I can give you to make it a little easier going forward to raise up your bike with a motorcycle stand. It's a lot less stressful. So your next step is going to be turning your handlebars to where they're straight, just like this. Now that they're straight, it's going to be a little easier to gauge where the bike's going to go as it stands up. Now, as we can see here, we still have our kickstand down because the bike is leaning on its own weight. What the hell? I don't have no passenger. I'm lonely. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your bike, lift it up, lean it towards you. That way, if it falls to the right, the bike will fall towards a kickstand and you're on the other side of it completely supporting it so that there will be no issues. Slide or stand underneath the swing arm to a position where it's not going to fall. Go come up next to it, push down on your stand slowly. This part is still kind of stressful, but as you can see, it's still a smooth process. I get a little scared of it just because I don't want to drop the bike, because this thing out the door is 16 grand, even though it looks like a tube of Colgate toothpaste. This is one thing I failed to mention. You're of course going to need an oil drain pan, kind of important, so that our oil is going from our oil drain plug into the hole directly. Make sure that your vent hole is open, otherwise you're going to have oil spilling out everywhere. It's not going to be a good time. So we will move our oil pan back and start prepping to take off the oil drain plug, which is directly underneath this fairing. Some people like to take the fairings off whenever they're doing oil change. I'm lazy, and I'm sure most of you won't care. We'll take our breaker bar. You can use a socket wrench just fine. It's just easier for me to use this because I can get more leverage on loosening it. Now remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You do not want righty-loosey. Don't do that. And what we'll do is we'll just kind of bump it a little bit. And remember, this is gonna move your bike a little bit because you're gonna be putting a little bit of force on it, so it might scare you a little bit. It's okay, I promise. We can remove our breaker bar. Good to go. Now, what we do is move our oil filter pan in place. One thing that you're going to want to do before you even start changing your oil is locate your oil fill cap. What you can do is just loosen this, open it up, make sure you leave it somewhere important. In my case, I'm gonna just stick it right there, right on the seat. Good to go. Don't forget. I'm talking to myself because I will forget. If you're crazy like me, you just reach underneath and start loosening it by finger. I'm an aircraft mechanic, so I don't mind getting dirty. Boom, there we go. Not too much dirty on me whatsoever. We got our oil drain plug. What we'll do here is we will inspect our washer for any damages whatsoever. It's always recommended to change these, but if there's no damage to the crush washer, you should be fine to reuse it. Although I don't recommend it. I'm just lazy and I'm gonna reuse it. But we're gonna wanna put this somewhere important. Do not lose this. Remember what I said about rags? It's always good to have rags. Clean those fingies off. Now our oil is dripping at a very minimal rate. What we're gonna wanna do is kind of leave that there for, I don't know, 10 minutes. That way we can get as much oil out of this machine as possible. Now, with our oil slowly dripping now's a good time to put our oil drain plug back in. So, because it's still dripping, what we'll do is we'll kind of reach underneath here. Just stick it in like so. You can't see what I'm doing, but I guarantee you it's pretty simple. You just look in there, kind of thread it on by hand at first until it's flush with your engine. Now what I'll do is, as I kind of do a little cleaning as I go, I'll take my rag, kind of go over it a little bit, make sure that the area is kind of clean out the bottom, make sure that there's no little bits of extra oil down there. we're good to go. And just tighten it a little bit. Do not use a lot of force with a breaker bar at all. You don't want to go righty-loosey. Now our next step is to locate our oil filter. Kawasaki is kind of weird. Usually most bikes' oil filters are up front between your exhaust and the engine itself. But Kawasaki is real special and likes to put it in a really nice spot that's really hard to access. We'll take our 17mm socket on our breaker bar. Again, you can use a socket wrench if you so please. This is just easier for me. Slide it on there, and then we'll break it loose. Now because it's in such a great location, it's really hard to reach, and if you loosen it, oil will go literally everywhere. You don't want that. What you can do is you can take a paper towel roll and cut it in half. You just slice straight down the side of one, and this is absolutely perfect for what we're about to do. There's a little cup plastic thing underneath it that you can just slide this bad boy into, position on, and it fits perfectly. At some point, you'll be able to just fold it out straight and loosen by hand the rest of the way. Like I said, with this in position, it's just gonna drip straight onto this paper towel, roll, and straight down into your reservoir. Works every time. Just make sure you put the paper towel roll underneath the plastic cup, not inside the cup like I just did, or it's just gonna drip out of the ground. Super clean, super useful. Please try this next time you change your oil in your ZX-6R. Like I said, do your best to clean yourself up as you go along. Makes the process a lot cleaner, a lot smoother. Now what I like to do is take a little bit of degreaser that I get from O'Reilly's. You can use brake cleaner too. Stuff works great. Just try not to spray it directly into our oil filter input. Now we're back, and the oil itself is pretty much done dripping. What we can do is we can take our little paper towel roll out of here and just set it down on our oil drain pan. And we're good to go. So now we can move forward with the process of changing our oil. We'll take our oil filter. I always prefer K&N. There's two little lock wire holes that you can use to lock wire onto pretty much any other bolt on your bike or part of your frame if you feel real froggy. Now some people I've met will pre-fill their filters, but I don't really see a need in doing that because it's going to immediately push oil into your oil filter and start filtering your system right off the bat. It's an unending argument. Some people say it's good, some people say it's bad. Doesn't matter to me. It's not going to hurt your bike, I promise. You see there's a little rubber O-ring all the way around the outside. Rubber, when it dries out, it starts to crack. Heat dries things out. Science. Take one finger, dip it into your oil pan, and just take your old oil, move it all the way around the outside. Now you remember what I said about cross-threading, right? So you don't want to do that, especially with your oil filter. Big problems. No. So you can take your socket, your breaker bar, stick it over your bolt, take it, and start threading it backwards. Right there. Clicked. Perfectly. So because you've hit your thread going backwards, you can start moving forwards now. Now, never, ever, ever, ever tighten this thing down with anything more than hand tight. Do not over tighten that. Do not over tighten your oil filter. So now you have your oil drain plug installed underneath. You got your new filter in there. We're to the point where we can start filling our oil. We'll take our oil, we'll put it next to where we're gonna work. Straighten her up, start to pour. Now another method that I'll show you that you can use, you can line it up, start your pour. Like I said, it just fits straight in there. You really don't got to do too much work. Now your ZX-6R takes about 3.82 quarts of oil. I might be off on that number, don't quote me on that, but I'll show you here in a minute on how you can judge how much oil you have in your system. Inside this little hole in the fairing, I'll try to zoom in on it. There is a level mark. There's two marks, one top, one bottom. You want it somewhere in between, but try not to overfill it too much. A little overfill isn't going to hurt it too badly. You just want to be careful with that. And just to be careful, try not to get any debris in your oil system. We'll just put this plastic cover back on top here. You don't have to tighten it down too much. Just get it on there, just to protect it from getting anything in there. When lowering your motorcycle, you want to absolutely make sure that your kickstand is down. kickstand is down. You'll stand on the right side of your bike. With your kickstand down, slowly start to lift it forward. Try not to get your foot underneath the rear tire, by the way, that kind of hurts. You set her down, and lean it over towards the kickstand. Good to go. And you can slide your stand off. You're good. Just to make sure, turn your handlebars all the way to the left, like this. Awesome. So now with your oil drain plug in place, with your oil filter installed, and about 4 quarts of oil right about there, you are good to turn your bike back on. I would highly recommend running your bike up to temperature, which for the ZX-6R, your normal operating temperature is between 145 degrees Fahrenheit to approximately 220 degrees Fahrenheit. If it goes above that, turn it off and you have a bigger problem. That's a different YouTube for you to find. Wipe up as much as you can, get the area nice and clean-ish. You're not gonna be able to get all of it up. Just take your degreaser, spray it onto the ground, various areas. Just wipe it up as best you can so your parents don't yell at you whenever you have bike oil all over the ground. This stuff will evaporate because it's degreaser, so it'll be fine. If not, it'll dry out your concrete and crack it, and then your parents will be more mad, but we don't gotta worry about that. So, thank you for watching. My name's Nate. Drop a like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And I will see you live on TikTok. Have a nice day.